Hey, Lashpreneurs, let's dive into where is all your time going and why is never enough of it? This is inspired from a conversation I had with one of our Society Accelerator students, our program for learning how to hire your first or your next producing team member. And she is a solo business owner. She does have her daughter works with her. She has a full load of clients, and she's going through this program to trying to hire because she is got way too much demand. But she kind of runs into this point, and this is very common with those are booked and then trying to hire. It's like, how do you find time to train and hire and interview and go through the whole process of trying to hire someone when you're fully booked as it is? And so she had worked through some limiting beliefs around money. We got clear on her money, which is part of that program, learning the financials and how much she can afford to pay somebody. And then I asked her, okay, so when are we going to put our job posting out there to hire? And she goes, well, I don't have time for that. Like, well, how do you think you're going to get time? I don't know. It's just like, it's the holidays and it's the busy season. And I'm like, and you want to hire so that you don't keep having this where you're trading your time for money. So I think a really great conversation to have, especially because I keep hearing people of why they can't do something because they're busy or because of XYZ, or it takes too long, or I don't know how to do it. And I really want you guys to come from a place of empowerment, especially as we go into the new year, and just shifting your perspective, even just 1 degree, to look at where is my power in my choices, because you always have a choice. You can always choose your perspective. So specifically today, we're going to dive into time and not being a victim to where your time is spent. Okay. So Tony Robbins says the quality of life is determined by the quality of your questions. And people in general ask really cruddy questions. They just don't know how to ask questions that actually help them find an answer or a solution. So for example, saying something like, I don't have time. When am I supposed to find the time? Even just thinking about that. When am I supposed to find the time for whatever it is that you want to do or that you're putting off? Is it that you don't have the time, or is it that the time that you do have, you are choosing to spend and prioritize on something else? I'm going to say that again. Is it that you don't have time, or that you are choosing to spend your time prioritizing something else? The answer is B. You are always in charge of where your time and attention and focus goes. And I can sense that even just listening to that, some of you are coming up with resistance. Like, let's just say you work somewhere else. No, Tara, I have a full-time job. My boss tells me when I need to clock in. You are choosing to be at that job that requires you to be there for those hours. And at any point, you can make another choice. Now, that's not to say that the choices you are making are wrong or bad or whatever. If you defaulted to that of like, oh, well, I must be prioritizing my time elsewhere. No. In fact, oftentimes when it comes to moms, especially of moms who are have younger kids that have not gotten into school age yet, your time should be, in my opinion, and that's, again, opinion isn't worth much, but my opinion should be focused on raising your children before they get into school. And there can be a shift in where your time and attention is with your business once your children reach school. Both of my kids are now in elementary school. My daughter just went into kindergarten. My oldest is in 3rd grade. So I finally, just this year, reached where my kids consistently in school that I don't have to pay for, because I don't know if y'all have been to preschools lately. They're like $1,200 here in Tennessee a month. And so they finally are both in school, and I have time and bandwidth now consistently while they're in school to focus on growing my business. And still, I find that me still working 30 plus hours a week is not the best use of my time, quite honestly, because my daughter has a lot of behavioral problems. And so she needs a lot of time and energy when she is home. And if I worked a full day and poured into everybody else, and I'm exhausted by the time she comes home as a single mom, it leads to a lot of battles at night. And so I have to be really protective of my energy and my bandwidth, my rest, so that when she does come home, I can also support her. So I could play this guilt game with myself of, gosh, I should be working more in my business, or I should be more present with my children, or I should be prioritizing relationships and friendships, and I should, and I should all over myself. How's that going to work for me in the long term? Is that going to help me feel any better? Is that going to help me be present? Is that going to help me make different choices in my life? I'm going to feel like a victim to all of the places in which I needed. as opposed to looking at the time that I have in a day, which we all have the same time, right? It's an even playing field. Nobody gets more hours in the day. So we all have 24 hours in a day, right? Rest, it should be the number one thing on your list above all your relationships, above all else. Because look, if you don't have rest, you will not operate you'll be useless to everyone if you start to sacrifice your sleep and your rest. Your body cannot physically sustain and should not sustain long periods without rest. So if you have children who don't sleep very well at night and you are constantly tired and fatigued, that is the first problem to solve for. So most adults need anywhere from 7 to 9 hours of sleep, right? Some of y'all want to have it as like a badge that you can work off of 4 hours and live off of 4 hours. That's going to catch up to you, right? You're going to have long-term health problems, even though, yes, you can do it for a season. That's not something I would wear as a badge of honor if I need less sleep than everybody else. Your body needs time to regenerate. Your emotions need time to come down, and your nervous system needs time to regulate, which it can do while you're sleeping, before you go tackle things like parenting or a business or clients or money or whatever. We can't solve from a depleted state, right? We just create more problems in a depleted state. So first and foremost, rest. So we've got our 24 hours. We take 8 to 10 hours of that out for rest. Cool. Now we have the rest of our day, 14 hours, to kind of figure out where's our time and energy best spent. So if you can get yourself out of the muck of the day-to-day of what you're currently living in and kind of get yourself into dreamland of possibility of what could it look like if I was intentional about what my day looked like? If I had time for everything, what would that look like? So chances are, if you were intentional about where your time was best spent, or you even went into your phone, you know, that little thing's like, oh, here was your screen time last week. And you're like, shut up. Nobody wants to hear about it. You could see that you probably spend a lot more time doing things that are mindless, like social media. And there is no shame to that when I say that. So if you find that you spend a lot of time on TikTok, on Instagram, I mean, by design, they're meant to be addictive, right? Being on your phone is addictive in nature. It is by design meant to be that way. It's meant to stimulate those parts of your brain and get you a dopamine hit, even though that you may not always feel good about that. When I look at how much time I spend on my screen, knowing that, you know, I spend time on TikTok, I spend time on social media, I spend time watching YouTube videos, right? I'm not immune to that. I actually enjoy some of those things. I qualify those things as rest, right? So if I find there's a week when I'm spending more time doing those things, to me, that's indicating to me that my body is needing more rest. My brain is needing more rest, or I'm under stress. And so I keep defaulting back to these things that are more for entertainment and enjoyment purposes. You should have entertainment and enjoyment in there. And I think a lot of people, especially as type A driven types, have a lot of guilt around we should be doing things that are always productive. We should always be producing. We should always be achieving. We should always be hustling, right? And if you get bought into the hustle culture, then you're going to overwork yourself. For most of you listening to this, if you relate to me at all, we tend to have to force ourselves to rest because we work and we achieve and we hustle by default. So our work is actually in the rest. It's not in the hustling. It's not in the working more. In fact, you deplete yourself and you create more work for yourself and you create more stress for yourself when you operate from a place of being depleted or scarcity. So when it comes to, am I a victim to my time? How can I find more time? It's being intentional about your time and understanding where your time and energy is best spent. So for example, this woman in our accelerator program, you know, she was prioritizing taking paying clients over taking the time to hire, put a job posting out, interview candidates and train them. There's nothing right or wrong with that. It's not good or bad. It is a choice. And so when we bring to her attention where her choices currently are, you are choosing to be in the treatment room, trading your 1 hour of time for, let's say, $80 for that hour. That is the only sales that can be generated with your 1 hour of time. Now, whenever I talk to anybody about joining our accelerator programs or our mastermind program where we build out teams, I share with them as a CEO, oftentimes when we look at where your time is best spent, the lowest value to your business is you as the business owner being in the treatment room. Why? I'll give you an example. Let's say for that same 1 hour of her time that generates $80 in sales into her business, she instead built out a team, like hired somebody else, has her daughter working there too. And she spent that same 1 hour of her time marketing. And let's say the marketing that she did in that 1 hour of time, maybe she created a Google ad and she was able to get in, she spent 1 hour creating the Google ad and optimizing it and getting it live. And that 1 hour of her time ended up bringing in 3 full sets. Okay. So let's say her full sets are, I'm just going to make up numbers for easy math, $200 for a full set. So she got 3 clients in on that 1 hour of her time for full sets that her team now takes the time to do. She doesn't do it. All she did was that 1 hour of marketing to get those 3 new clients in, who her team is now going to trade their time to produce the service. So that 1 hour of her time just brought in $600 in sales in the business. 3 $200 full sets, $600 in sales. It didn't cost her any more of her time. So if we just looked at where is her time best spent, she has it in her head, me producing the sales in the business is where my value is. I go, no, 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 no. When we want to stop trading our time for money and we start hiring a team, your time is better spent in the operational side of the business, in the training of the team members, into growing people who can produce the sales and profit in the business. And then I take it one step further. I say, now that 1 hour of your time, yes, we'll say generated that $600 in sales. However, thinking about customer lifetime value, chances are those clients are going to come back every 2 weeks. Some of you 3 weeks, but we'll just say on average every 2 weeks for that same $80 an hour fill. But your team members are producing that sale, right? So that same 1 hour of her time, now let's say those clients come back every 2 weeks for the next 6 months. So they're getting 2 appointments a month at the $80. So each client brings in $160 a month times those 3 clients. That's $480 a month in sales that are being generated. And we'll just say they're going to stay for 6 months. I'm just making this number up, but let's say they come back for 6 months, sometimes longer, sometimes less. So that same 1 hour of her time that generated those 3 full sets plus 6 months of fills coming every 2 weeks now equates to $3,480 in her business. And you can check my math on that too. 80 times 12. So 12 fill appointments plus their original full set of the $200 times 3 clients. So that same 1 hour of her time, that's all it was. That same 1 hour of her time in marketing generated about $3,500 in sales for the business for the year. And all it cost her was 1 hour of her time, right? Or she could be in the treatment room producing that one client sale for $80. And she has to do that every month to keep that $80 coming. This is how you can shift your perspective on where is my time best spent. So when you have the belief that only producing the sales, and this is in regards to building a team, and that's kind of the context of this conversation, is your time best spent there? Asking yourself a better question. Where could my time be better spent to reach my goals? Could it be spent on growing my business? Could it be spent in learning how to do the business side of things? For those of you that say you're bad with numbers, is it that you're bad with numbers or that you've never learned how to do the numbers, that you've never learned what numbers to look at? So if you spent 5 hours learning the numbers, wouldn't you know how to do it? And then you'd be able to make decisions based on growing the numbers that you want to see grow. But keep continuing on that, like, I just don't know, and just putting our head in the sand as if it doesn't exist doesn't help. Same thing with your time. You are not a victim to where your time is spent. You are the creator of where your time is spent. If we're not going to blame you for where your time is spent, who are we going to blame? You are always in charge of where your time and energy is best spent. So, and especially, and I want to plant this seed for the moms out there, because I know there's a lot of guilt that comes from taking time away from your kids to focus on your business, or taking time away from your business to focus on your kids. Understand, and this always helped me, about the lack of permanence there is in any given season in our life. I always say that, like, it's never 50-50 balance for me of where my time and energy is best spent when it's being a mom versus being a kid or being a business owner. It's like a pendulum. There are some seasons when I'm more focused on business and some seasons when I'm more focused on personal life. And every time I kind of get too heavy in one, something happens in the other one that I have to kind of refocus and redirect myself on. But it will always change. So even, and I say this mainly for those that have really young kids, when you have kids under school age, right, where they're not a big block of time at school where they should be, then honestly, it really probably is a season where you're more heavily focused on personal life, and it's okay. Your big goals and dreams and the empire you want to build, you've got plenty of time in life to do that. But for most of us, we want to build the business for the freedom of time so that we can spend more time with family. So it doesn't always necessarily make sense to pull away from time from family to build up this other thing so that we can then spend more time with family when we could spend time with family now. Why wait? Right? Find the balance in there for you, which may not look like everything and everyone else. If you see somebody on Instagram who's living the good life and they look like they have it all figured out, I can tell you right now, they don't, including myself. I don't always have it figured out. I don't always have the time to do all the things I want to do, but I do prioritize the things that matter most to me. And my values are being present for my kids. So there are times when I'm not taking a sales call and getting, basically selling into one of our programs for thousands of dollars because I want to go be present for my kids on their fun run. And that's a choice I'm willing to make because I could make that money, but isn't that money supposed to allow me more time so that I can go do those things? It's counterproductive. So if you looked at where your time and energy is best spent, and this will be a really great exercise for you guys to do, is to look at where is my time best spent? Or where is my time being spent, period? Not where is it best spent, but just where is my time being spent? And is there somewhere I might make a different decision of I'd rather prioritize this goal or working towards this goal or spending time with these people as opposed to something else that maybe I'm just not being intentional about where my time is spent? Because if you're not intentional about where your time is spent, other people will take it gladly, right? Same thing with clients. If you don't have the boundaries, especially during the holidays, to say, I don't work on weekends, and you allow clients to book on weekends, is that the client's fault or yours? If you get resentful for how much you're working or your body's starting to break down because of the volume and the pace at which you're working during the holiday season, I ask you why? Because I need the money. Well, if you have the demand that you're working more than 30 hours a week, it's time to raise your prices, sister. Right? You can raise your prices, but then all those clients, isn't that the point? Isn't that the point? Right? If you are too busy to be able to have a break, to be able to work a regular schedule where your body's not breaking and you're like, because it's the holiday season, screw that, raise your prices. You deserve a holiday season too. You deserve to not have to have your body break down because you're working too much. Why? Because clients want to work or come in on nights and weekends. Build a clientele that is available during the day. You are not a victim to where your time is spent. You are the creator. If there is something that you don't like in your life, life is a mirror to you. Where were the choices that you made along the way that got you to the results that you currently have? It can be really confronting if there's a lot of things in your life you don't like, but the same is true for all the amazing things you have in your life. You are the creator of those too. So start small, look at where your time is best spent, look at where your time is being spent and see if you might be intentional about making different choices so that in 2024, whatever goals you have in mind, whatever vision you have for yourself about what your life is going to look like, including your business, including your personal life, you can be intentional about having the time to work on or grow whichever side of your life or your business that you want to grow, and be intentional about where your time is spent so that it doesn't get away from you and you're not sitting here 12 months from now going, man, I still am working 60 hours a week during the holidays. Why? Why do I keep doing this to myself? Nothing has changed in a year. How is that even possible? I don't want that for you. I want you to be progressing step by step. So if you want to stop trading your time for money and start growing your business without growing your time spent in it, and you are interested in having a team, or you have a team and you're still stuck in the treatment room, or you want to grow and scale your business to multiple 6 and 7 figures with a team, we have applications open for enrollment for our mastermind that starts in January. And if you don't have a team yet, then we do have our Society Accelerator program that will start you off in. So if you're interested in learning more about those programs, head on over to the lashpreneur.com/apply, fill out the form there, and you and I can jump on a call and talk about how we can start to get your time back and have you stop trading your time for money. All right, y'all, have a happy holiday season. And just as a heads up, the last 2 weeks of the year, we will be going dark on the podcast to allow everybody to spend time with their families and allow you guys a break from your busy holiday seasons. But we will kick off again with more episodes coming in January. All right, have a good one.